So here we are. It is Saturday morning about 8 a.m. and we're at the Mount Tom Reservation in Holyoke, Massachusetts. Surprisingly, the gate is locked, as is the gate on the west side. So we're going to walk up to the visitor center. There's a kiosk up here, maybe there's more information. But if it's closed for the winter, we have a 1.5 mile uphill walk to just get to the trailhead. So we've come two tenths of a mile to this frozen lake, and saw another trailhead here, which is the Bray Loop Trail. According to my map, a lot of these other trails just aren't even on the map. The Knox Trail and the Bray Bridge Accessible Trail. But in theory, hugging this side of the pond will get us up to a junction with the Keystone Trail, which is another way to try to get to the M&M trailhead. Whoa, a lot of ice back here. So let's try to follow this trail and see if we can find the intersection with the Keystone. So it looks as if you can step around the ice, but there's actually a lot of these dark patches are just glazed over black ice. So I put on some micro spikes, and traction is a heck of a lot better. So what we're looking at now is the frozen Lake Bray, and we're going to follow the trail south and actually curve around the other side, where hopefully we'll pick up this Keystone Trail, which will lead us to the M&M Trail. So absolutely nobody out here. So we've reached the southern tip of Lake Bray. We've come about 6/10 of a mile, and I was wondering where we're going to cross, because the swamp continues quite a distance ahead. Looks like there's a bridge up here. So this is the accessible trail, and if we look at the map, we are here. So if we cross the pond, we should at some point hit the Keystone Trail. So what we don't want to do is take the Bray Loop Trail, which would just take us around here. What I'd like to do is actually follow this and then get onto this Keystone Trail. So let's cross the bridge. Well, it's a pretty stream that's coming through the wetlands. We've come 8/10 of a mile, and here is where the Bray Loop Trail turns back on itself to head over another bridge and back to the parking lot. But like I said, we're going to stay, that's yellow blazed, we're going to stay on this right trail, which should either become or merge with the Keystone Trail. And voila, this is the Lost Boulder and Link Trail. 6/10 of a mile to the junction with the Keystone. So we'll head up this trail and start getting a little bit of upward incline. Mile 1.3. we finally reached the junction with the Keystone, which is this red blaze trail to the right. The other trail heads back to the left and loops around back down toward the lake. So we will keep pressing up. We have to be careful because this Keystone Trail takes a sharp right turn ahead, which goes down to the visitor center. And what we want to do is take the Keystone Extension, which should be to the left, and heads up the mountain. So I just hopped across this log. We've come 1.6 miles. It's been a not very steep but very steady climb. We've come up 500 feet, and we've reached the junction once again of the Keystone Trail with the Boulder Loop Trail. So we don't want to continue down the Keystone. We want to turn left here. The Keystone heads off to the right on the red blaze. We are going to follow this, I think it's an orange blaze trail, yes. KB Trail doesn't show up on my map, but it's to the New England Trail. So this must be what used to be the Keystone Extension Trail. So we'll follow this because we want to go to New England Trail, the Metacomet Monadnock Trail, which is at this point part of the New England Trail. So I consulted a map, and we have just come out of this orange trail, which is the Keystone Extension, and this yellow trail is the Quarry Trail. And if we follow it in this direction, in about 3/10 of a mile, it's pretty flat, 3/10 of a mile, it'll hook up to the M&M or Metacomet Monadnock Trail, which is what we're trying to get to originally. And then it would be a very steep climb up to the ridge. Alternatively, we could follow this red blaze DOC trail for 8/10 of a mile. And the DOC trail is just climbs for 8/10 of a mile, but it takes us to the top of the ridge in a less abrupt and steep climb. So I think we're going to start up this DOC trail and see how it does. We're at 2.8 miles and have climbed just under 900 feet. And we still haven't hit I figured the Metacomet Monadnock, the M&M Trail, is another 3/4 of a mile. And we'll reach it on the other side of Whiting Peak, so we're going to go over the summit. And then we should hit the trail. So we've come about 3.5 miles. We finally have reached the New England Trail junction, and we have climbed a total of 1,050 feet since we started out. So this is considerably longer than I thought it would take to get up here. So it's another, to get up to Mount Tom and back is, I know we go down into a valley and then back up. So it's we'll be adding another 2.5 miles onto this. and we still have 3.5 miles to go back from this point. So I think I'm going to turn around and head back. We did bag Whiting Peak, and then what we could do is next time come back up here and do Tom from a parking area that's a little bit closer, now that I know that the gates aren't going to be open. I'm going to turn around and head back, just because adding, I'm not going to hit Mount Tom. That would be adding yet another 3 miles onto the trip. So instead, I'm going to turn back and we're going to go down to the visitor center on the trails and then probably road walk the rest of the way to the front gate. It's starting to get a little misty up here and drizzle. Wind is picking up and they're predicting bad weather this afternoon. So a 7-mile hike, and we did 1,100 feet of elevation. That's not so bad a morning. What we're looking at now is East Hampton, Massachusetts. And as we pan further down, you can see that bend, and that's East Hampton, Mass. And that's the Connecticut River. And we're looking up the Connecticut River Valley. Wow. Well, that was a bit of a slippery climb. Here's a good place to take a break. Had a water break, had a little snack, and so now it is time for the walk Reservation Road back to Route 5. So we're heading down Reservation Road toward the car and Lake Bray. Right now we're at about mile 5.5. So another mile, maybe a little less than a mile, get us back to the car.